Y'all ready? Y'all ready? Yeah. You have just stepped out into the world of chaos. Where everybody goes hard. Come on. Go hard. 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 Or go home. Never back down. You gotta hold your own. Go hard. 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 East Coast. Go hard. West Coast. Go hard. Midwest. Go hard. Dirty. Hurry up, everybody, get online, buy your tickets, cause the game about to start.
Thank you, man. Welcome to the show.
Everything's well?
I'm doing awesome, man. Whatever I do, man, whatever I do, whether it's a basketball tournament, which, you got all my referees for me, or podcasts, whatever I'm doing in basketball, I want to make sure that you're a part of it, my brother.
Okay, I appreciate that. Really do.
Nah. Like I was saying before, I don't think you know how inspiring you was to me as a young guy looking to you, and just looking at you from afar, coming home with your bag, because we lived in the same building, you leaving with your gym shoes on, you going to your games, people are talking about you and what you're doing. You weren't in the streets. You wasn't somebody I saw hanging out in front of the building or on the benches. You were somebody that was always on the move. So I just want to say thank you for showing me that there was a different way to go.
Much appreciated. Much appreciated. When I first met you, I want to say it probably was the winter of 70.
Had to be 80 something, because I wasn't around here in 70.
Oh, so I graduated high school in 81. So it had to be maybe
around that time.
82, 83. I was on my way to Brooklyn College. And you were the young kid always in the Coliseum, shooting, trying to get better, always working on your game. And I think I walked up to you and we played one-on-one. And I told you the way you get better is to be out here, rain, snow, sleet, and work on your game. And I watch you I watch you a lot of times, just working on your game and trying to perfect the jump shot that came to be so lethal in your game. I watched that, the tenacity defense that you play. I watched how you focus on the different things that can get you from one level to the next level. And I'm very glad to be a part of what pushed you to where you are now.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Appreciate you, Earl.
It was a lot of days and a lot of nights that basketball for you took a lot out of you, but at the same time, you stayed in your books. And I always made sure, I told you, basketball can take you as far as you want it to take you, but you got to have something to fall back on. And your books is very important. I watch you go from FDU. I watch you go to LIU. I watch you get your college degree. I watch you become a school teacher. I watch you take these kids from here to there, and I'm proud of that. I'm proud to be what you call a mentor.
Thank you, girl. Thank you. Appreciate
it. It takes a lot for someone. It takes a lot for someone to get the confidence to ask the next person to be their mentor. And when that person is presented that opportunity, it's such a big challenge. And it's like, it's mind-boggling for me or anyone to be someone's mentor, because it's a hard situation to be put in, as a mentor, whether it's teaching you how to grow up and be a man, teaching you how to be a referee, teaching you how to be a basketball player. Those are different stages of being a mentor.
Yeah, it's a lot, man. It's a lot. and what you did for me is priceless. I wanted to do.
Hold on one second.
And Walt Frazier went to Southern Illinois, which is not a HBCU.
Okay.
Because I said they went to Walt Frazier went to HBCU. And I want to thank Coach Haskins for that, the godfather of Brooklyn basketball. And I also want to correct my guy yesterday, my guy Leonard, who said that Arnold Bernard played with Ron Strickland and Truman. Arnold Bernard played at Al Xavier Lutheran, and he was my era. Ron Strickland was a couple of years ahead of us. So now that we got that, we go.
Yes, Ron Strickland was a year behind me.
Right. Right.
Right.
Yeah, we discussed yesterday, and I think Leonard put them together. And another thing I want to clear up is I went to FDU, not LIU. I used to bust LIU ass.
Exactly, you went to FDU for
right.
sure.
Right. So, who introduced you to the game?
Who introduced me to basketball? I always was an athlete. You know, growing up, I played football first for the Brooklyn Renegades, Coach Breeze. You know,
I did the same thing. I did the same thing.
I played football. Football was my first. But when I first moved when I was in Fort Greene, I played basketball at PS 67 and in Fort Greene. I was the only fourth grader on the basketball team. And I played fourth grade. The fifth grade team was I moved up to the fifth grade team. I was the only fifth grader because he took all varsity. And then when I was in the sixth grade, I was going for a starting position, and I never forget, I got beat out by a young lady by the name of Angela Sands.
Wow.
When I tell you this lady could hoop, she was left-handed. She was the only female on our team, and she played starting guard with another guy by the name of Steve Wilson, whose brother went to LIU, Rick Wilson. And we played, you know, I played a lot at PS 67. We moved up to Brevoort in the middle of the year, and I moved to Brevoort in the winter of '76, and I went to 35 Annex on Madison and Ralph. That's when I met Michael Watler. Michael Watler played a big part of how I played basketball today. We bumped heads every single day, and we both got MVP of the tournament. And from that day on, Michael Watler and I have been best friends to this day. Watler is really who turned me on to playing basketball in sixth grade, and we both went to junior high school 35. They didn't have a team, but we just played so fiercely in the yard at lunchtime, after school. You know, Michael Watler lived by St. John's. I lived in Brevoort, so we used to walk to Fulton Street. He'd walk to Schenectady, make that right turn up to Schenectady, go home, and I kept walking straight down Fulton Street, going to Brevoort. You know, and that's what it was. And then I got turned on to football. Because I'm a Cowboy fan, diehard.
That's right. That's right. That's what we see in common. Yeah.
So we used to play. I was like the only little guy playing with the big kids in Brevoort. I always hung out with the big guys. Curry Artis, who was a standout at pace. Ron Cook, who was a standout at pace. I played with, God bless the dead, Ollie Leonard, who was a standout at New Utrecht and was an All-American. Was going to St. John's as a freshman and got killed in a car accident.
Wow.
In 1978. But I used to be on the court with all those guys. Me and my buddy DeVere. They only let two guys out of all the guys in 6th and 7th grade play with the old timers. And I think that's how I really got connected with basketball. But my football days, if I would have stayed football, probably would have been better than my basketball. But I played 3 years of football. Dwayne McMillan was my tight end. We won 3 years in a row, Pee Wee football. I was MVP all 3 years, outstanding offensive player of the year. Dwayne was McMillan was a runner up, and I went on to New Utrecht after that, and I played.
All right, hold on, Earl. Hold on, Earl. We have too much in common.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a Dallas Cowboy fan.
Right.
I played for Breeze. I was quarterback.
Right.
And I was my most outstanding player.
Nice.
Right? So that's crazy. And I'm gonna retract another thing I just said. My partner, Stem, said Arnold Bernard went to Truman, but transferred from Truman, then went to Al Xavier Lutheran. Thanks a lot, Stem. Appreciate you.
Nice. It's so ironic. My daughter was in the store the other day, and on Ralph Avenue, and she had her mask on, buying something from the store, and a gentleman walked in the store. He didn't have a mask on, and she was like, "You don't have a mask?" And he was like, "No, sweetheart." So she, "Let me go to the store and get you a mask. Go to my car and get you a mask." So she went to the car, and she came back and gave the man the mask. And he was like, "You live around here, little girl?" She was like, "No, but my dad grew up here." He said, "Who's your dad?" She said, "Earl." He said, "Earl Robinson? He was my quarterback. I won my first championship." And that was Breeze. That it's so ironic.
That was Breeze?
Yeah, it was Breeze.
Wow.
And she called me. She's like, "Daddy, I just saw your coach." I said, "Who?" She said, "Coach Breeze." I said, "Oh yeah, he coached me."
She just joined the room too. Salute, Jolita. Salute.
Jade, that's her name. And
her name Jade. Okay, I'm reading the name that's on here.
Oh, I don't even know, bro. Instagram is not my favorite. I'm not on none of these social medias. But
listen, I'm glad that you took a chance to come on, brother. I appreciate you.
To do this podcast for you, because we go way back 30, 35 years. I had a lot of gripe when I first put you on the Homeboys, and I told him, I said, this guy can only make us better. There's no way.
We're gonna get there. We're gonna get there. We're gonna get there. We're gonna get there. Trust me, we're gonna get there. Okay. All right. Yeah, definitely. So, I was telling that story in the beginning.
Moving forward.
All right.
I left.
So before you mentioned something before, right? Like a lot of people heard you say his name, but they don't know what he meant to us in our neighborhood. How good was David? And
I didn't hear you.
How good was David?
You were breaking up a little bit.
And Vaughn. How good was David and Vaughn?
Okay, so DeVere, better known as Lou, but DeVere was one of the best left-hand players I have ever played with. DeVere had the most respect on the basketball court from Riverside to Vanguard, Brooklyn, USA. He was fearless, and other guards feared him. He was the only player ever to start as a freshman at Sheepshead Bay High School. In all the years that they had a basketball team, DeVere Simmons was the only player ever to start as a freshman, and he was All City first team. And the only player that went to Sheepshead Bay that put up better numbers than DeVere, and he only played 2 years, was Jeff Thomas. Vaughn was way ahead of his time when it comes to basketball. At the tender age of 9, Vaughn was on the cover of BFF, which was Brooklyn Sports Foundation, which was our logo for Brevoort. And he was Mr. Basketball at 9. Vaughn Wooldridge was Mr. Basketball at the age of 10. He could do it, whatever he needed to do on the basketball court, dribble. He was like before it was and one, and I heard you and Leonard talking about and one earlier. Before and one and dribbling and hot sauce and all that, there was nobody out here that can dribble or handle the rock like Vaughn. And that's facts. And you can go and ask Lloyd at Brooklyn, USA. You can ask Coach Haskins. Ray Haskins will tell you. Everybody wanted him to play for them. He just didn't want to play. You know, he just didn't want to play. But as far as the game goes, he has very good knowledge of the game. He can play the game. He can play the game with the best of them. It's just that his size, he's still probably the same size now in height that he was when he was 14 years old. He ain't grow an inch. But in heart, he can play with us. Any day. Any day.
Yeah.
And with that being said, I would go to bat with Vaughn and DeVille on any team back in 20 years ago.
Yeah, I saw how close you guys was, especially how close you and DeVille was. And I remember I was a young guy and I didn't get to see a lot of this. I get to hear the stories, right? I got to hear the stories. And then I was talking to Vaughn the other day when we was on the phone, and Vaughn was reminiscing with me about some of his pastime in basketball.
Right.
And Marc said he's from New Utrecht. You had a Utrecht, another New Utrecht great, and Marc Petit. He also played with Speedy Classic at Hofstra. Very close friend of mine. This is why I'm wearing the green for you tonight.
That's
right?
a beautiful thing.
Represent for you, man.
I feel you. I feel you. I feel you. I was trying to find my my Utrecht uniform, but I find that. But I can't find uniform. But I appreciate you wearing the green for Utrecht, the Utes. Jeff Thomas. I didn't hear what you said.
Jeff Thomas played at University of Georgia with Eric Marbury and Dominique Wilkins.
Yes, Jeff Thomas was my mentor.
Wow, two New York guys, huh?
In 1978, my sister Carol was a cheerleader for Boys and Girls High School. At that time, they were ranked #1 in the country, boys and girls. Richard Gordon, Rick Wilson, Al Colbert, Mo Sanford was a freshman. They had the best team, and Jeff Thomas he won the Iron Horse Award, which was presented to the best player in high school basketball in the country. Jeff Thomas averaged 47 points his senior year, I want to say. Was
he from here? Was he from Brevoort or was he from the area?
No, Jeff Thomas is from Atlantic Towers.
Gotcha.
Over there on Bergen Street. And to this day, Jeff Thomas was a mentor to me in basketball. I followed Jeff Thomas from his days at Sheepshead Bay, days at Georgia, and it was so ironic that in 1981 he transferred from the University of Georgia to Ohio U, the Bobcats, and Brooklyn College. That was our first year in Division I, and we actually went to Ohio U, and I got to play against Jeff. But at that time, he was hurt. He was on the injury reserve. And we hung out at Ohio U that night. And I got the utmost respect for Jeff Thomas. When I tell you in 1978, in 78, the backcourt for New York was Jeff Thomas. These was the guys that played back then. Jeff Thomas, Larry Washington, Curtis Redding, who was up in the Bronx? I want to say Butch Lee had just went to Marquette, because he was at Clinton. I mean, it was some ball players. You know, the team that Lincoln had, which was Eric Marbury and Mac Hobson, who was from Brevoort. See, people don't know Mac Hobson was the star point guard at Lincoln.
Really?
For sure. If you look up your alma mater, Mac Hobson was the point guard. He could do everything. He can dribble. He can shoot. He had crazy hops coming from the point guard. And I always followed Jeff. Jeff taught me how to dribble. Jeff taught me how to protect the ball. You know, and being so quick and agile, and I just took on defense. You know, a lot of people say that I probably was the best defender around. I mean, I had no problem at 6 feet guarding Sam Worthen when we played at West 4th Street, when we played in Rucker, when we played in Each One Teach One, when we played in Kingdom. You know, we always played above, you know, and I got a finger here. If you see, I got a finger here. I'm not giving nobody the finger, but I broke this finger in 4 places at West 4th Street, stealing the ball from Sam Worthen. And we know, everybody knows, Sam Worthen had the craziest handle, you know, in the universe. But on that day, I got that ball, you know, and we beat Harlem that day. We beat Harlem that day. Coming from where we came from with HBO, it's just crazy, you know. When we played in West 4th Street, and you can contest to this, you can contest.
We're gonna get there. I want to get to the high school and college days first. Okay, we're gonna get there.
In high school,
how did you end up at New Utrecht and not go to Boys and Girls?
Okay, I went to
or Alexander Hamilton.
I went to, coming out of junior high school, I went to Beach Channel, right? I went to Beach Channel my freshman year, and I didn't make varsity, but I was an oceanography major. To this day, I can't swim for nothing. I can't swim, but I like fish. You know, in my house, I have a big fish tank. You know, I have a 195-gallon fish tank with I used to have all exotic fish. So oceanography was my major. And I got into a little situation in a power dynamics class, which we fix output motors for boats. And there was a situation where the principal and the AD had to come. And at the time, you know, I wasn't bad. It was just an incident. And I had to go down to the Board of Ed, and they asked my dad, you know, they said that he can't come back to Beach Channel, and I had to transfer. So I picked Lafayette. I wanted to go play at Lafayette with Kevin White, who was playing with Vanguard, and that was my boy.
Right.
DeVere was playing we all played Vanguard with Gil. So I said, all right, I picked Lafayette, and my dad said, you're good. So I went to New Utrecht. And I played my sophomore year. I made the team. I didn't get that much run in my sophomore year. My junior year, I had a good junior year. I was all city third baseman in baseball, and then I just stopped my senior year. Just got better. You know, a lot of doors open. I was all city. I had an opportunity to go to the University of Texas A&M with my boy Richie Fells from Lafayette, and also Don Marbury from Lincoln. Those was the backcourt guys that I had to go up against in my senior year. Jeff Wilkinson from South Shore, God bless the dead. Beetle was at Hamilton. If you see the All City picture that I showed you, it'll show you the guards that was playing in that era. And if you look at these guys at this time now, and we can reminisce on a lot of things that we did back in high school, how the competition was so fierce, and how we ball. You know, we ball. It wasn't no time for putting the ball around your back. It wasn't no time for that. You came through the hoop. You was getting an elbow. You was getting banged in the chest. Get up and let's make the next play. That's how we played. You know, so when I watch the game today and how it elevates from here to right, it don't even move, because the work ethics for these kids are very minimum. They don't put in the work that we put in. And they got way more opportunities than we had. We didn't have an AAU. We didn't have a traveling team. Only certain organizations had traveling teams. You know, now you got maybe 800 to 16,000 traveling teams. You know, but so when I finished at New Utrecht, I was in love. I didn't want to leave New York. So I took my scholarship and I went to Brooklyn College. My first year, we won. We was the only division. We was the only team in New York, in the tri-state area, in the Final Four. We went to the Final Four. We went to the Final Four in Division III, and I also sent you a picture of the game that we lost to go to the championship, and against Potsdam. We lost to Potsdam 50-51 down in Grand Rapids, Michigan. And we took third.
The city was tough. The city was tough during that era.
Yes.
You know,
yes.
Rick Combs said Donnie didn't even make first team All City that year. To my Don Marbury. Exactly. And Marco, Vanguard was a grassroots program ran by the legendary Gil Reynolds. They didn't have the money and the finances of the Gauchos, but he coached some of the best ball players that came out of New York City. Well, basically from Brooklyn.
Vanguard had guys from Brooklyn, Bed-Stuy, Brownsville, a little bit of maybe Canarsie, but Gil Reynolds was one of the greatest coaches in grassroots basketball that I ever been around.
Yes. Yes.
You know, his production of talent is amazing.
Yeah.
His production of talent is amazing. You know, his fundamental skills on how he taught the game was iconic. You know, people talk about these coaches now, the Rick Pittinos, the Mike Krzyzewskis, and I think Mike Krzyzewski had the same background as Gil Reynolds, because Gil Reynolds was a sergeant in the Army, and Mike Krzyzewski and Bobby Knight was one of those kind of coaches like Gil Reynolds. But if you play for Gil Reynolds, if you play for Vanguard, that means you can play ball.
Yes. Yes.
Because you had to go to 6 to 10 practice before you even made the team. And you had to beat out guys like DeVere. You had to beat out guys like Kevin White. And guys that was playing at Brooklyn USA, which was an elite organization, to this day still is. But they had the talent where, okay, you have all the talent at Brooklyn USA, now we're going to Vanguard. And whoever didn't make it in Vanguard went to Restoration, which was an affiliation of Vanguard. So being coached by Gil taught me how to be aggressive on the court. You know, take no BS from nobody. And I know we're going to get to this. I heard you talking about the situation at West 4th Street, and the the provocation of what happened in that big game that made the New York Times.
Yeah, we definitely gonna get there. Yeah, Gil, I was talking to Dwayne Caldwell the other day, former Miami Heat center.
Yeah. I haven't
Yeah,
seen him in a while.
yeah. I asked him how did he get to Gil Reynolds because I met Dwayne at a Gil Reynolds practice, and he said Ron O'Cleary brought him there.
Okay, the coach,
because he was a big kid who needed to learn fundamentals, and he brought him to Gil Reynolds.
And Ron Cleary is the coach at Cardozo.
Cardozo. Yeah.
Now, if you know any history about Ron, just going back a little bit that we can, elaborate. Ron's father was the surgeon who operated on Dr. Martin Luther King when he got fatally shot in 1960.
I posted that.
You posted that. A lot of people don't know that, and Ron is a good coach. Ron is an excellent coach, and he teaches the guys what he learned from Gil. And like you said, Dwayne went to Gil. Dwayne will tell you he didn't have no coordination. He didn't have none of that as a big guy.
Yeah.
Gil taught him. Gil taught him everything that he know. Everything that he know. From shooting to pivoting to the coordination of IQ basketball, come to me, rebound, this and that. Gil taught him all that. And guys don't understand. You don't have coaches that teach like that no more. We don't have coaches that teach the kids like that.
Yeah. So how was your time? You said you guys almost made it to the championship at Brooklyn College, correct?
No, right. We lost in the semifinals, and we took third. So after that was my sophomore year. My junior year, that was my freshman year. My sophomore year, we went Division I, and we was a Division I team in the independent conference, which was in Notre Dame. Notre Dame was the big leader in the independent conference. They had Kelly Tripruka, Michigan State. We played Michigan State. I was guarding Scott Skiles, who is now the head coach in the NBA. We didn't have a good Division I record. I mean, we went our first good game was against FDU with Marcus Gathers, your boy from FDU.
Yeah.
Marcus Gathers. They beat us by 7, but they were favored by like 23. And that really put us on the map how we perform against FDU as a first year independent team coming into Division I. Moving forward, my junior year, I played maybe a half a season, and which was the winter of '82. I mean, the winter of '83, and my mom passed away February, and I had to become the man of the house. So basketball was still part of my life, but it was more taking care of my little brother. God bless the dead. My sister.
My God, Sutley,
Yeah, my brother Sutley. My sister Carol. My sister Renee. She had 2 kids. She had 3 kids. I'm sorry. Eugene, who was a great human being, great man. He's a pastor. My niece Janice, and your man Gregory, my nephew, who I love.
That's right. Got to get him on the show. So tell him to hit me up. I want to get him on.
He just moved to Pittsburgh. You know that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's in Pittsburgh now. But that's Glenn's man. They call him the purist, Gregory Plummer. And I don't have. You shouldn't have favorites when it comes to nieces and nephews, but I kind of like raised him from little man to where he is now, you know, and I love that guy to death, you know. So after the summer of 83, I went out and I got a job, you know, doing what I had to do to take care of the family, and I always had someone by my side who was my daughter's mom, and her mother was like my mom, and Gladys Cummings. And when I stayed with her for 26 years, and I got a job, still played ball, and I stopped playing ball at the tender age of 36. I was still in my prime, and I started refereeing. I put my whole life into refereeing at the age of 36. From the age 36 to the present, which is 20 years. This year make 20 years. I'm 56. I'll be 57 in October. This year makes 20 years of me officiating, and becoming in New York City or in college basketball is awesome. I repped at the highest level for 14 years, and I started refereeing in Queens Boulevard in the DEP tournament with my buddy Ron Phillips.
Wow.
I didn't have a referee shirt. Right? So I went to Modell's and I bought a referee shirt, but I didn't know it was a football referee shirt. It had a collar. So when I got to the court, Ron was laughing. He's like, "Yo, what you doing?" I said, "Yo, I got a referee shirt." He said, "Yo, that ain't no referee shirt. That's a football referee shirt." So I was like, "Wow." So he gave me, to this day, I still have that shirt, that my first referee shirt. It had an IABLE patch. And because I was not certified, I wasn't allowed to wear that shirt. But because of Earl, you know, people like, "Yo, why you ain't certified?" But they would not say those things in front. They would say it behind your back. You know how people are.
Right.
So it took me 4 years. I refereed in the recreation, but it took me 4 years to become certified. So when I became certified, we're talking 2000 and we're talking 98, 2000, we're talking 2003, right? I became certified IABLE. In 2004, I went to my first basketball camp, right? And I made the conference, the Colonial Conference, in my first year, which is not even supposed to happen as a referee. I refereed a college basketball game before I ever did a high school basketball game.
Wow.
Before I ever did a high school varsity basketball game, I did a Division I basketball game. And I never looked back. I had a lot of bumpy roads. I had a lot of people against me. Going back to my days of playing, I was a terror on the court. A lot of referees didn't like me. I was very disrespectful to referees, you know, and the same referees that refereed me while I was playing now, today, work for me. So
wow.
And it's kind of hard. It's kind of hard trying to get their respect based on what I have done in the past to them and to other referees. I've never been a person to didn't want to talk about my past or don't like to talk about the past. Is what happened. It is what it is. You know, you can't bring it back. You only could reflect on what happened. You know, if I had to do it over, of course I'll do it a different way. But it is what it is. You know, I was very vulgar to referees on the court and off the court. Now I had my incidents. You know, I had my incidents with referees. But I had an incident with one referee would really open my eyes, and it cost me a season. It cost me a basketball season up at Tillery Park, and
Yes, the infamous Tillery Park incident.
yes, it cost me a season, and the referee and I got into it. Wasn't even like we had some misunderstandings, some words, and things didn't really work out for the best on my side. You know, I hit them. They banned me from all the tournaments for a year. I had no, you know, I owned up to what I did. You know, the next year I came with more humbleness. I came with a different attitude, and from there it never escalated to that point again. I always had a situation with a referee. You know, back then we paid technical fouls. You know, I was working.
Right.
I paid more technical fouls than any player in New York City. And people talk about me as a referee now. I paid more technical fouls than any player in New York City. Any player in the past or in the present. I probably got about, and we're not joking, I played 17 seasons at West 4th Street. I probably averaged 12 techs a game. 12 techs a year, maybe 13, at $20 a watt for 20 years. And we're talking West.
That's real. I experienced it a couple of years, so I know.
At West 4th Street, we're talking Orchard Beach, we're talking Reese Beach, we're talking Wingate Park, Tillery Park, 258 when they had a little tournament, Highland Park, and I all played with the homeboys, and they was like, oh boy. But you know, the thing is, Glenn, and I tell guys this, if you don't have the money to pay for the tech, don't get it. Because now, and nowadays, now you can't play unless you pay. You know, so reminiscing on that, I was almost like a menace to society towards the referees. And people always ask me this question.
Why? Like I never understood that. Because who did you pattern your game after that you know?
You know what it
brought
was?
You to get into it with the referee.
I think it was more of me being upset at the referee not knowing what he's doing.
Oh shit.
For the simple reason, and I teach basketball now as an official, and I always tell you cannot referee in a situation where you're not accustomed to. So these referees was refereeing pro basketball, but didn't know the pro rules. Both of those things don't connect. If you're a high school referee, you're refereeing it pro because of the money. And you don't know the rules, and you're making these calls, and it's irritating not only me, a lot of players. And we have that today too. So that's what really probably happened back in my days of playing. I was more irritated about how the referees will call a play or call a foul and don't know the rules, or call a violation, or back then that we had illegal defense, right?
Yeah.
And when you call an illegal defense, you got to understand where the defense can and cannot be. So I had a short temper. You know, I have eased down a hell of a lot. You know, I'm to the point where I don't even let a lot of things. I don't let a lot of things bother me now. But when I referee, because of my actions prior, you have to referee with an attitude. You have to referee with a point, you know, and at the same time you got to be consistent, right? You gotta know where you're at. You gotta know the venue that you're working at. Uh, More or less, I didn't care who was playing because whoever was on the court wasn't nothing to me. I'm a referee. I'm always partial. I don't care. You can win, lose. It had nothing to do with me. And I always been like, and that's how I teach it. But when I played, it was totally different. The homeboys we were so competitive. You know that. And I think my competitiveness took me to levels that I shouldn't have been. I shouldn't even got to those levels. But again, like I said, that's the past. It happened. You know, it didn't stop me from getting to where I needed to go in life as a college referee. I mean, a lot of people stopped me. I mean, tried to stop me, but again, my mindset was only person that can stop any referee is himself. So if you want to get to where you need to be, you have to make those sacrifices. I had referees to this day. I don't call no names. We don't need to call names. That was sticking knives in my back, doing all kind of things. You know, talking to other people. Oh, he shouldn't be here. He shouldn't be here. You know, but when you present what you can do on the court and take it to another level outside of New York, that's where I referee. I referee outside of New York. I referee down south. So in 14 years, I refereed 9 conferences. I refereed in the ACC. I refereed in the Colonial, the Ivory, the Patriot, the MAC, the Horizon, the Big Ten, right? The MAC out in Ohio. So I refereed all those conferences, and I had a damn good time. I wouldn't trade that for nothing, you know. And
right.
now I'm a teacher.
No, finish what you
I
said.
didn't hear what you. I said, and
No, I
now
want you to finish it. Finish the truth.
and now I teach the game of officiating to upcoming officials. I try to give them.
Well, you got one of your mentees online right now, Arthur Lee Walker. He said he wanted to know how were you able to ascend so quickly to Division I?
I kind of like blanked everything out, and I got in my rule book. I got into the mirror and did my mechanics. I watched other referees. But what I did was I had one person video me doing a game at Tillery Park, right? And this man Cornell Hampton to this day he'll tell you the same story. He was out there videoing, but he wasn't out there to see me. He was out there to make my life miserable. And he told me this because how I was as a player. And he told me, he said, Earl, I came out here to try to find all kind of bad things to say to you on the court as a referee, but you blanked everything out and you concentrated on what you did, on what you was doing. So to answer Arthur Lee's question is you cannot let no one stop you from which level you want to reach. You know, because I always said I wanted to be a college referee. The NBA was in my sights, but I had an opportunity, and the opportunity fell short when one of the assigners, who was the NBA head referee got fired, Ronnie Nunn, who ironically...
Ronnie Nunn, the legendary Ronnie Nunn. I met him when I was in 10th grade.
Right.
He gave a clinic at Boys and Girls High School, and I was very, very surprised to find out that an NBA referee went to the local high school, Boys and Girls, and it was Ronnie Nunn.
And ironically, his wife was my 7th and 8th grade teacher, Dolores Ennis. And when I first met Ronnie, we had this conversation, and he asked me, he said, what junior high school did you go to? I said, I went to junior high school 35. He said, oh, my wife taught there. I said, your wife? He said, yeah. He said, her maiden name is Ennis. I said, Miss Dolores Ennis was my, and we connected. But it was, it was more politics when he was the head of the NBA referees. And I met a good friend of his by the name of John Guthrie, who at the time was a Southern guy from Georgia who had his hands on everything in the South as far as officiating. He was the ruler of officiating back then. He ran the SEC for 25 years. He had the OVC, and he had he had the OVC, and he had another conference out west. And he told me, he said, Earl, if you want to officiate, come down south. And that was my first year going to the Colonial camp, which was held at Wide World of Sports, where they're going to have all the games at. And my first camp, and I made the Colonial staff. So that year, I didn't get any games. I got 3 games. They were all scrimmages. And at that time, they paid $250 for scrimmages. And my buddy who lives up in the Bronx, who also got into the conference, Craig Williams, we went online at that time. You can go online and you can pick the scrimmages. So we picked 3 scrimmages. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, Arthur said he always wanted to do well because he wanted to make you proud.
I am so, again, to be a part of what Arthur's trying to do is just like bringing you up when you was young. A lot of people help me out, and the only thing that I can do is give back. I can give back the knowledge that I have as an official. I don't tap myself on the back. A lot of people know me as an official. I never speak about what I have done because it's self-explanatory as the college official. In the past 15 years, I would say the past 20 years, as far as Division I referees coming out of Brooklyn, coming out of New York, it's very limited. My good friend, and I love her to death, Heather Brown, is also a mentor to a lot of guys, and she's a Division I women's referee. And we just want to teach. You know, Antonio Brimmer, who was my partner for the last 37 years, you know, we used to stand back to back, you know, and that's what we do. And I'm so thankful that Arthur would put me in a category to as want to be his mentor. And again, when someone asks you to be their mentor, it's a special pull for y'all hearts. For someone to ask you that. And again, I am so thankful that Arthur looks up to me as a basketball official, as a human being, as a man. I'm really grateful to be in a position where I can help.
Yeah, definitely. He knows you got his back, man. First of all, you are there to correct him because I was at the Lincoln game when he blew that call, and you got on his ass after the game because we talked about it, and and you even mentioned it to me.
Right.
And then the incident which we're not gonna go into that happened at Gersh Park that shows that you definitely have his back, man. So salute to you again, man.
For sure, because those kind of situations that happen at Gersh Park always could be avoided, you know, because at the end of the day, and I tell a lot of officials, even players, we can have a great relationship with coaches, but the relationship that you have, it ends when you step in between the lines. I don't have a relationship with you for that 2 hours. My relationship with you is an official and you're a coach. You know, I want to say this to a lot of coaches and players who's out there listening. A lot of guys don't get an opportunity to referee their nephew in a high-profile tournament, right? You with me, Glenn?
I'm with you. I'm here. I'm listening.
Okay.
I'm paying attention, brother. I'm focused.
I had the opportunity to referee my nephew in West 4th Street, right? Who he played with the X-Men, Greg Plummer. Before the game, they asked both coaches, D'Antanian and Sean Bell, said, listen, Earl is refereeing the game. His nephew is playing. And Ross said to them, Ross said, I don't care if Earl's father was playing. Earl do not put his integrity on the line when it comes to basketball officiating. And that game, Sean Bell beat X-Men, right? So my sister calls me like 2 days later, and she said, Earl, what happened with you and Greg? I said, what are you talking about? He said, you called 3 fouls. I said, no, that MF fouled 3 times, and I blew the whistle, period. Greg will tell you, I then told Greg, I said, listen, you got to understand, in between the lines, you're just number 22 or number 23. You're not my nephew. I got integrity, and that's all we have as a basketball official is integrity. And if you let that go out, you can never be trusted no matter where you go and referee. So when I go back to the Arthur Lee situation at Gersh, when a coach wants to put your integrity up against something that's, you have to stand up. And I'm not going to allow no coaches or no players out here to put any of my referees in that predicament where they're challenging their integrity, because that's what we teach, integrity first. You know, it was situations where if a coach know you, he thinks you're going to cheat for him. Again, that's my integrity. Win, lose, or draw, I don't have anything to do with that game. You know, you understand what I'm saying? If you win the game,
yeah, man, it's real. You got to stand for something, or you'll fall for anything. And
for sure.
Look, Arthur said you gave him his first game after he came back from California, so that means a lot. So you know, definitely, man.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
What up? What up, Keith? Keith's John in the building. All right, so now I know you were in college basketball for a while. What made you stop reffing in college?
I stopped refereeing college basketball 2 years ago. I had just got a big schedule in the Big Ten, and I found out that I need a hip replacement. The year before, I don't know what happened, but my hip just started hurting. I finished out the year, and the next year coming, I got my contract, and the hip got worse. So I called the Colonial Athletic Commissioner. At the time was John Clougherty. And I told him, I said, John, I can't run anymore. I can't officiate on TV because you can't cheat the cameras. I didn't want him to call me and say, Earl, are you hurting? You can't run. Why are you missing plays? So before someone went and told him that Earl is injured, I went and told him that I couldn't referee anymore. And then I called Rick Boyages, who is the Big Ten supervisor, and I gave back 10 games in the Big Ten.
Wow.
My first game on that schedule that I gave back would have been Ohio State, Wisconsin. That was my first game. And the only person that I told was Antonio Brimmer, and I told him, I said, I can't do it no more. I gave back my whole schedule for the Ivory and the Patriot, but Reggie Greenwood refused to take the schedule, and he said, I won't have you on any airplanes. You can just drive to the games. So I took 6 games. I did Columbia twice. I drove down to Princeton, and I did 1 game at Dartmouth against Tony Gill. You know, his son played at Dartmouth. And my last game of my college career was a playoff game at Bucknell, and I just couldn't do it no more. I can't run. You can't cheat TV. You know, to be on ESPN again. I was on ESPN a lot. You know, all the Division I schools, and you either on ESPN 1, 2, or 3. So I sat down with a lot of people, and people close to me, and they had my back, and I just said I can't do it no more. You know, but I still make some money refereeing in the Pro-Am. I'm a big advocate of the Pro-Am, the Gershwin Parks, the Orchard Beach. I assign a lot of the games. You know, I try not to put myself on those big games, quote unquote, but unfortunately, when you do good things in different tournaments, the commissioner always asks for, can you put the best guys out there? You know, and that's where I want Arthur to be at one time, moving forward.
Yeah, definitely. I think he's on his way too, man.
You know, where I
think he's on his way.
Where I know, you know, I always told, I referee IS8 high school basketball, and this is a joke that I always tell Ra, who coached Sean Bell's All-Star. We always used to go into IS8. He would go, "Yo, you ain't big enough to do this big time game." You know, whoever was playing, and I always told him, I said, "Ra, I'll be on the championship or the semifinals. You make sure you get your team there, because I'll be there. I'll be one of those referees." Right. And for the last 10 years at IS8, no one has done more championships at IS8 than me, but Antonio Brimmer. So, I mean,
Keith Strauss said, you walk up the court now.
Ha 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 ha. Keith is my man. You know, Keith Strauss and I go back a long way. Keith was a very good ball player. I mean, he had
that's my twin right there.
He had great talent, and we had battles in the BRC. We had battles in Jersey. We had battles at East Orange. I mean, we had battles, you know, and to this day, that's my boy. You know, I know he down in ATL. My guy. I know he down in ATL, you know, doing what he doing, but.
Yo, Keith, get on, man. Stop playing around. I need you on after the holidays, man.
I know he's listening. But he wanted to be an official too. I tried to, you know, school him, but Keith has the crazy mentality where, you know, you just can't, you can't officiate with an attitude, you know. You gotta leave the attitude.
He ain't gonna let people talk to him crazy too much.
And I told him, I said, yo, you gotta leave the attitude in the Range Rover. You know, leave it in the Range Rover, you know. So,
oh man. So let's move on to our West Fourth days, man.
Okay.
You put me down with the homeboys.
Right.
I just remember
HBO
you
for life.
saying, "Look, I never wanted to play in that damn court because I was like, it's too fucking small. How do they play in here?" And then realized I totally forgot about the size of the court once I start playing there.
The size of the court didn't matter because the competition was so fierce. You know, we played in that era. In that era, we had 20 teams in West 4th Street. You had in the West, it was 1 to 9, 1 to 10. And in the East, it was 11 to 20. The homeboys was always number 11. Our number was always 11. And for 14 years, when I tell you, you could not lose 2 games or you was out of the playoffs. You know that. We averaged 8-1, 9-0 for 14 years. I mean, we made the semifinals. We made the championship. In my 17 years playing in West 4th Street, I played in, I played in, I think 9 or 10 championships, which is awesome, you know. So when we put you down, it was great, you know. That year, was you a rookie that year that we went to the championship and that incident happened?
I think it probably my second year.
Your second year?
I think it's my second year.
Are we going to elaborate on the incident, or what do you want to do?
Yes, because I was always in the game, but I don't remember exactly what happened. The only thing I remember.
Well. Hey Glenn, let's say this.
Yeah, we was on our way to win the championship against Primetime.
Okay, so for legal reasons, I prefer not to comment because that situation is like it's in the past, but for legal reasons, I never had a comment. I was called last year or the year before when they put the article in to comment. To this day, I never comment about the incident, you know. And even though I'm on here with you, I prefer to just let bygones be bygones with that incident. People who are in the basketball world back then knew what happened. They know how it happened. For this generation, it wouldn't be a good conversation because
it's so many lessons to be learned in that, because
for the simple reason, and I say that to say this, for the simple reason that situation had a lot of twists and turns, and it got to the point where lawyers and the courts got involved. So I would, and it was a lot of people involved, you know. So I'm just gonna say it happened, and that's the comment. Now, if we want to move on to other things, I have no problem with that.
Yeah, I just know it, you know, not to talk about the incident, but I just remember it changing the trajectory of the game because the way our energy was and where we was heading towards. And, you know, they had Anthony Mason here. He had just joined the Knicks, and it was a really big game. It was like one of the best games in New York City.
Right. They had Anthony Mason, Troy Truesdale, Elmer Anderson. They had a team.
Yeah, Speedy Williams, Corey Williams.
We had guys that just ball. like you said in earlier when you was talking to Leonard, you and I was the only Division I basketball players on our team.
Yeah, no, I mentioned that with the pre-show.
Right.
A lot of our guys was working guys. These guys was
But
working construction
you know who else
for
was a
ball
Division
players.
you okay.
Yeah, Big John Harris. He was on our
Big
team
John
too.
Harris. John played at the University of New Orleans, and we just had guys that played. We just had ballers. You know, the White brothers
Yeah.
who came up with the name. Bird, who put me on the team, he played at Savannah State. His brother James, God bless the dead, call him Pac-Man. That was my buddy. We had Sheiky, who was the best defender in the tri-state area.
Yes.
We had Joe Eli, who played at Brooklyn College, but Joe Eli can literally almost touch the top of the backboard, and people didn't realize how his hops was. I remember when Mason went to the basket and he tried to dunk on him, and Joe stuck the ball straight to the backboard. You know, at 6'4.5". You know, but those games that we had out there in West 4th Street, I wouldn't trade those days in for anything. You know,
listen,
we had a lot of fun.
Primetime squad was so big that Anthony Mason was playing the 3, and him and I were going at it the whole game.
The whole game. And like you said, that incident like turned the whole situation around. You know, again, it happened.
Right.
I don't feel good about it. You know, I can like I said, I elaborate on it to a certain extent, but it is what it is.
All right. So, what's your perception on New York City basketball today?
My perspective on New York City basketball today, as an official or as a player. So
give me both.
Okay, as a player, these kids here, again, these kids these days are blinded by wanting to play down. When I say wanting to play down, meaning if I went to my dad and I told my dad that I want to get left back to play with the 11th graders, when I'm in the 12th grade, my dad would look at me like I was crazy. My dad wouldn't allow that. And again, when I speak to a lot of parents, I speak to a lot of guys who are in the basketball, how can you ever, when I say how can you ever tell your son or your daughter you want to get left back so you can play with the young kids? Don't make sense. That don't make you better. Don't make you better. You're going to always be greater than them because you're 2 years older than them, a year older than them. So that's the perspective in that mindset. Again, AAU is a flip of a coin. Why I say it's a flip of a coin is because you have some AAU programs that teach, and then you have some AAU programs that just helter skelter. Run. Hey, run. Get the ball, run. So now the point guard, all he knows how to do is run. So now when he gets to the next level, how do you slow the ball down and set up play? Hey, one right, one down. So when a coach tells him to call one down, he don't have no idea what one down is.
Yeah, I think we have a problem. For me, when I see the Nike tournaments having high school kids play pro style basketball.
So when you say,
and I think like meaning the one-on-one clear out basketball, and I think it hurts our kids when they get to the next level.
okay, so let me elaborate on that. When you say the Nike tournaments have one-on-one basketball in their tournaments, those are rules governed by a commissioner, right? So people don't understand.
No, those are not the Nike, because Dykeman plays it. All up Westmore.
Listen to what I'm saying. When you run a tournament, the commissioner can run the tournament the way he chooses. He can make his rules the way he chooses. So if he says that we're playing pro rules, right? So the people don't understand the concept of pro rules. Orchard Beach is only two legitimate, I would say 3 legitimate pro tournaments in the tri-state. Three. Orchard Beach, Pro City, Gershwin. That's it. Strictly pro rules. Same rules as the NBA. Nothing more, nothing less. Same rules. No give and take.
I'm talking about the high school.
Now I'm going to the high school. So when you say high school, a lot of tournaments play the game for the fans, right?
Gotcha.
So when you have a high school tournament such as Gersh, right, who's been around the last 8 years, it's a phenomenal tournament at the high school level, and at the pro level. The high school level is at its peak, and when you have teams and you have players that are playing helter-skelter, they don't know how to adjust to how to play a zone. You have to teach that in the practice. You have to teach that in different situations. So if a tournament is playing man-to-man, and they tell you can't play zone, it's for the fans. They want to see the one-on-one. They want to see this guy go past this guy. They don't want to see no help. So you're playing to the fans and not to the sport.
Isn't that to the detriment of high school sports?
Sure.
High school basketball in New York City?
Yes. And it takes away from the PSAL. It takes away from the CHSA, the Catholic school, because now when these kids when they finish playing in the summertime and they go to their original high school, if they're not playing for their high school coach, and you see him clear it out, that's a problem.
Yeah.
Because now the coach is saying, time out. What do you mean clear it out? This ain't no effing AAU. But that's what he's taught. Those are the tournaments that he's playing. Not to say the tournaments are bad, but the tournaments want to play to the crowd. I mean, it could be fixed. It easily could be fixed, and Dykeman, I refereed Dykeman for the last 16, 17 years. I stopped refereeing. I refereed Dykeman for 13 years, 14 years. I stopped refereeing Dykeman based on that. The commissioner told my partner and I, Heather, don't call no fouls. Let him play. So I said to him, at the end of the day, you don't have to be out here and listen to all the bullshit. You're the commissioner. Whatever happens on the court, you have no say-so. You cannot tell me as a referee, as an official, not to call fouls. So he says to me, he said, yo, Earl, I said, yo, I don't even want to do this game. I never refereed it again. Heather, never refereed it again. Because you put my life in jeopardy if I don't call a foul and this big crazy guy gets hurt. He's not coming to the commissioner who don't want no fouls called. He's coming to me as an official for not calling a foul. So Dykeman puts a lot of referees in that situation, you know, and when you say high school, it's a difference. In high school, you call a foul. In these tournaments, these commissioners in the Nike tournaments, in a lot of tournaments, the commissioner backs the official. So you are allowed to officiate the way the game is supposed to be officiated. You allow the kids to play. And I always tell my officials, when the kids' intensity is at 99, we need to be at 108. Always, our intensity have to be at 108. So the kids got to understand, if the referee intensity is at 108, they have to adjust to that. That's where the ball player comes. You and I knew how to adjust.
Yes.
When we played, we knew how to adjust. These kids now don't know the definition of adjustment. Every play is adjustment. And when they learn how to make the adjustment, whether it's playing in a tournament where you say you can't play zone, it's an adjustment. Learn the adjustment and the game is easy.
Yeah, I seen Jelly Fam, Isaiah Washington, you know, he was a huge phenom a couple years ago. One of the biggest stars, you know, in the Dykeman tournament uptown, and the one-on-one craze, and he created the whole Jelly Fam movement, and he went to the Big Ten in Minnesota, and he couldn't adjust.
He couldn't
and then he went to Iona. He went to Iona, a step down, and I think he found an even harder time adjusting there because he's moving on to somewhere else now, I heard.
Yeah, and that comes from, again, playing in tournaments where it's all about looking pretty first. It comes from White Man Can't Jump, in that movie where Wesley Snipes and Harrelson, that's his name, right?
Yes.
He tells Wesley Snipes, you know, the difference between black and white players. You guys want to look good first and win second. We want to win, look good.
Wow.
That's the difference. That's the difference.
I need to find that scene. I need to find that scene.
The scene takes place in White Man Can't Jump when I think him and the white Woody Harrelson is leaving to go to the park and play a 2-on-2. Wesley is his partner, and Rosie, what's the girl name? Rosie Perez is his girlfriend.
Rosie Perez.
So if you go and watch White Man Can't Jump, you listen to that scene there. And he always tell him, he said, the difference between a black player and a white player. The black player want to look good first and win second. That don't mix. I want to win, and then I can look good.
Right.
That is the problem.
What do you
Isaiah Washington, for instance, he wanted to look good, and then he couldn't make the adjustment when he got to the big games, to the big tournament, you know, to the Big Ten. You're playing on TV every night. You're playing against competition every night. You know, you have to make those adjustments. And
everyone in the Big Ten since Big Ten is a football school, a lot of these guys are very strong. A lot of very physical, right? These guys are physical specimens, and there's not a lot of showboating going on in the Big Ten like it was back in the days in the Big East.
Exactly. And you know, another thing that I'd like to make a point of, New York City basketball players have a ego where they think because they come from New York, they're supposed to be given the opportunity because we are the grassroots of basketball. And I always told a lot of players, those cats down in Atlanta, Mississippi, Alabama, they don't care nothing about no New York player because they go hard every single day.
Yeah.
And we, again, want to strive for showboating. They don't care about that showboating. They want to get into your grill. They want to play defense. They want to shoot the way they're supposed to shoot. They want to take the shots that they normally take. If I'm not, they don't take three-point shots if they're not a three-point shooter. But us guys, our guys up in New York don't understand that. Once you leave New York, your name is nothing. Your name is nothing. Because those cats down there, those cats down in Virginia, Alabama, Mississippi, Detroit, those guys don't care about this guy coming from New York. Who cares about this? I'm making a name down here. I'm going at him. And when you get a guy going at you on one end, now, can you stop him on the other end? No, you can't do that. Because why? You don't know how to make the adjustment on defense.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, that's crazy. I was listening to the Knuckleheads basketball show. And he very, very good show. And what they were saying is when they hear about a guy coming from New York, they know they're gonna get the show without a jump shot. They know they're gonna get the show without the finish.
Exactly.
The show is gonna be there.
The show gonna be there.
And that's been our reputation around the country. And when you play basketball in California, like in the Drew League, nobody gives a fuck about the show. Nobody. It's very serious competitive basketball. Even when the pros show up, nobody's out there dancing.
It's about the business, and then we move forward. You know, so as a whole, I put it on the coaches in New York to try to get their kids. We have enough time with this pandemic, and I just want to elaborate on the pandemic. How this pandemic has been hurtful for a lot of people, but it has brought a lot of us to a different level.
Yes.
You know.
Yeah.
It has brought us to a mentality where we have to really think, what's our next step now? Whether it's basketball, football, baseball, academics, you have to think now, you know, because none of this shit is promised to you now.
Yeah.
We might not have baseball, basketball, football. We might not even have that, you know, and we might not have that at no levels. The summer is done as far as recreation basketball, for sure, in New York. In New York, I don't care if they open the parks or whatever. You don't have no tournaments. You can't have no tournament because you don't have no permits. You know, people don't realize that. So if these coaches have their kids in the gym where you could practice or whatever they doing, teach them fundamentals. You got months and months to teach them fundamentals. So if we do play next year, a kid that was a 75% free throw shooter should now be an 89% free throw shooter. Because why? He's been at the free throw line just shooting. A kid that shot 32% from the 3-point line should now be shooting at least 45. But if they don't have we don't have what the other cats down in the other states, the work ethics. Though it's like the work ethics has went out the window. You know, you, for instance, Glenn, I ride by plenty parks. And I don't see no kid shooting the ball in the rain.
Right.
I don't see no kid shoveling a goddamn line where he can make a layup in the snow. That's what you did. That's what we did.
Yeah. Yeah, we have a choice.
They like this all day. What's that? PS2, PS3, all that stuff on the TV, that don't get you nowhere. You know, show me a kid that plays basketball 365 days in a year. That's the kid that's going to the next level. Oh, it's raining. I'm not going outside. Yo, hold on. It's raining. I'm not going outside. No. I'm going to the 7th floor. I'm going to the 7th floor and knock on Glenn Harding's door. Yo, let's go outside. And you know what your mother gonna say? Boy, y'all better not hurt yourself. It's raining, but we're going to play ball. We're going to practice. Like Iverson said, practice.
Yeah.
We practice in the rain. You know,
guys don't want to play on concrete no more. They say it's bad for their knees.
Hey, where you gonna play at? Tell me, where you gonna play at? You gonna have Nike build? You gonna have Nike build you a court?
Listen, I say this now because we have a lot of young black professionals who are the coaches now in New York City.
Right.
And we saw the problem that a lot of us went through as youngsters. Right. Maybe we didn't go through the problem. Maybe we saw somebody else go through the problems. I just think now that we have the power that the game should be a lot better, and the coaches should be getting along to make things better in New York City instead of making it worse. Because I just think everybody's protecting their own little private island and making sure they have their wins, and then leave New York City in shambles.
Well, on my side, that is what, like I said, that is what myself, Brimmer, and Heather, that is what we're trying to do. We're trying to teach officials how to be the best at their craft. You work on your craft. If you're an electrician, you work on how to wire. If you're a carpenter, you work on how to cut that wood straight. You work on how to snap that line straight. So when it comes to officiating, and a lot of people know that I am a big advocate of mechanics when it comes to officiating. I'm a big advocate of getting your plays right. And we were at the park yesterday, and a couple of young officials asked, to get into my head and asked me some questions. And they asked me, they said, Earl, how do you get better? And I asked them, I said, no, you tell me how you get better as an official, right? So one guy said, I said, I'm the assigner. You tell me how does it take you to get better? You know what he told me? Oh, give me 30 games. Give me 30 games. I said, okay, so if I give you 30 games, right, and you call the same call 30 times and you get it wrong, are you getting better? No. So he said, so how do I get better? I said, you get better by doing one thing and one thing only, watching film of Glenn. If I watch film of myself, I can always correct the mistakes that I'm doing. It's the only way you can get better. I watched the same tape when I started refereeing. This is what I always told Arthur. I watched the same tape maybe 300 to 500 times, over and over and over, to make myself better. I watched that same tape. Oh, I didn't like that foul. So I'm in the mirror, bam, I like that foul. I got my hand up, I like that foul. The whistle, bam, I like that foul. I like my mechanics. That's how I got better, watching Earl. And I tell all the officials, watch some film of yourself. And you can't do nothing else but get better, because you're watching your mistakes,
Yeah, Arthur said you are a stickler for rules and mechanics. And when I see you doing this, when me and Arthur hanging out and he explaining a call or maybe talking about a game, he's doing all of this. He's the same stuff that you're doing right now. I see him doing just on a regular. We having conversations. So definitely, what you're doing is definitely getting through.
You know what it is, Glenn? If you do it repetitiously, it becomes it becomes easy, you know. And I tell guys, I can call fouls with my left hand, right hand, being ambidextrous because I work on that. I work. You just can't keep calling fouls with your right hand. You can't. You got to be able to. It's the position. You know, you got to be able to be. And you got people that play the game of basketball who are very intellectual about officials. They're going to ask those questions. You as a player, as a coach, your Earl. So, and I had to explain to you sometimes the concept of what can and cannot be done. And when you have somebody that can explain it to you the way I can explain it to you, the way Heather can explain it to you, the way Brimmer can explain it to you, then you get the understanding of, wow, these guys really know what they're talking about. I probably need to calm down as a coach, right? Calm down and look at the whole play. You're just looking at one thing. How many times have you asked me, yo, Earl, was that guy call? And what answer did I give you? It all depends on where it is on the court, right? That makes sense, right?
Yeah, nah. Rick Combs said you do that during the games. He said Earl takes his time to explain to people what the call he made. So you definitely got some people in the room who's backing you up.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
Nah. That's dope, man. That's dope. Listen, I've seen you as a ball player, good, bad times, seen you referee, seen you assign guys, and make sure that everybody's on point and the kids are able to play. Right. And I know the bottom line is to make sure that, you know, that your officials are doing the job they're supposed to do and they're representing the game the right way.
Correct.
So definitely salute to you.
I appreciate that. And that's the only thing that I try to instill in all the referees, you know, be consistent, be trustworthy, and always never let no one take your integrity away. If you keep those three things as an official, sky's the limit.
Well, check this out, right? This is what my artist does. It's my artist, Jamel Powell. He went to Jackson High School. He played for Granby. He's my artist on set.
Okay, so how old is he?
And he got you in your cap and gown, right? Your cap, your graduation, and you in that move in the article, but he got you going the other way instead of the way that you was in the article. But it's dope.
How can I get that?
We framing them up. Earl, we're so backed up right now with so many posters and pictures we got sent out. So you'll definitely be getting that soul, be in the frame. I'll let you know when you come pick it up.
I appreciate it. Hey, what year did he go to Jackson?
Huh?
What year did he go to Jackson? He went to Andrew Jackson?
Yeah, yo, Jamel. What year did he go to Jackson? He's young. He graduated in 2000, Earl. He still got Pampers on. Yeah. My guy, he used to work with me at the school that I'm at right now. And when I told him I was starting the podcast, he was like, yo, G, would you mind if while you're doing your interviews, I could be joining pictures of the guys? I was like, damn, ain't nobody doing that. Why not? And, you know, we've been doing it ever since.
That's nice. That's awesome. Listen,
yeah,
I appreciate you having me on the show. You can call me back anytime. I love you,
no doubt,
brother.
I love you too, bro.
And keep
listen, before you leave, think about this. Who would you like to nominate to be on the show? So that's what we want to do, right? You think about it. If you got it right off the top of your head, it's all good.
I would like for you to try to get, and I would talk to him about to get Antonio Brimmer on your show, because he can give it to you as an official, as an athletic director, as a consultant, as a father, and now as a first responder. So he can give it to you in 5 different ways. You know,
And I want to get Heather as well, because we want to make this equal opportunity. Yeah, because
and I work on that, but
she'll be the second female. Because Wednesday we have 1989's Player of the Year, Laura Millie. She'll be on here. Christ the King great. Arizona State standout. She's coming on Wednesday. She'll be our first female.
Okay.
But Brimmer and Heather, definitely let them know. I'm with it.
No problem. And thank you again. I appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate you, brother.
God bless.
Thank you, bro.